From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Well, hello, world. It's great to have you here. My name is Sven Erlandson. I am the host of the Badass Counseling Show. You have found me here, whether you are checking in from Wyoming, from Oklahoma, or whether your names are Christopher and Rebecca Mason checking in, whoever you are, wherever you are, even as far away. We have someone checked in already from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. We've got people checking in from all around the world, and I am here to just answer your questions. My name is Sven Erlandson. I'm known as the Badass Counselor, and I've got a counseling practice in Manhattan, New York City, and I've got clients around the world. And when I do these lives, they are lightning rounds, and I'm just here to answer your questions. No charge. So type in your questions. Let's go. Well, I've got the first one here, and the first one here, Rob, is right next to me. By the way, Rob, hello to you.
Hi, Sven. I do have a question I have to give you right away. Do you sell badass merch? If you made a Rob the Rocket shirt, I'd buy one.
Oh, no. So I see. Rob's becoming important here, more important than he already is.
I'm feeling pretty good right now.
I think we need some Rob the Rocket merch. Okay, put that one in the hopper. KC loves the fucking, her brain's going now. So here we go. All right. That goes in the hopper. All right, here we go. When you tell your husband you're unhappy in your marriage and he said, well, I can't make you happy. All right. Do you want to know what? Well, I can't make you happy. Do you know what he's really saying? He's really saying, fuck off. I don't care. He's not saying, you're not happy. Honey, come on. What do we need to do here? What can I do? Let's work on this. And if I'm honest, hon, there are parts of me that I'm not happy with. Let's get to it because I love you and I want to fix this. He's not saying any of that. He's basically saying, I don't give a shit. So you are in a marriage, Christina, where your husband is fundamentally saying, I don't give a shit. Now, you didn't ask a question, but I'm going to assume by you merely posing the question that you're fundamentally saying, what do I do? And I'm willing to bet that this is not the first time you said that to your husband. I'm willing to bet that this has been an ongoing and, in fact, increasing issue for you, hasn't it? You wouldn't be posting on social media unless it was pretty significant. And you've not just said it once, but many times. And so then the question becomes, what is it you most want to do, but are perhaps most terrified to do? And I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just curious what it is. And I'm not asking you, what is it you want to have happen? Because that implies you're passive. I want to know what course of action or words you most want to take. In other words, of the things you can control, which is your actions, what do you most want to do? Well, if he's not willing to cooperate, if he's not willing to engage and say, hey, let's fix this shit, hon, let's make a great marriage. If he's not willing to do that, then you are fundamentally coming into full recognition that you are in this on your own. And then the question becomes, how long can you tolerate this shit before you finally make the decision to cut it loose? And that is one of life's biggest decisions. And you may be approaching that time, but I'm betting that you still have energy and you're still hoping you can work it out and you're still hoping that there's hope and so on and so forth. And one of the truths that I talk about in my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, is, and that all my clients hear me say a million times, and you guys have heard me say it a million times on the show, and that is, change will not occur until the pain gets bad enough. And the simple fact that you're uncertain of what to do, Christina, says that your pain has not gotten bad enough. And you're like, fuck you, man. My pain is huge. Yes, but it hasn't gotten bad enough to the point where you have clarity. Because once you reach that fucking point where the pain has gotten so fucking bad, once you reach that fucking point, you all of a sudden have courage you didn't have yesterday. Courage to do the shit that just yesterday you couldn't even think of doing. Thanks, Dylan. But you also have clarity. You have the clarity of knowing exactly what I'm going to do. And it's like, fuck it, I don't even care anymore. In fact, those are the exact words that I hear from so many people once they've hit the fucking point. I don't even care anymore. And once you're there, you will have a clarity, you will have a courage, and you will fucking execute. Next question. And this is over on Facebook. I've been journaling and counseling for decades. I can't retrieve blocked trauma, old and new. Do you have any ideas, Sven? Yes, I do have ideas. Basically, if you're still feeling blocked after you've been journaling and counseling for decades, what that tells me is you, and I don't mean this in any way as an insult or anything like that, you haven't gone deep enough. There's something deeper down there. And very often, and by the way, this is a shout out to all of you all, if you're struggling with something and you want to actually counsel with me, but you'd really rather not pay my ridiculous Manhattan rates, write into the producers of the show and see if you can get on the show and write a paragraph of what you're struggling with. And the producers pick a couple of people each week to come on and counsel with me for free. There's no charge for that. That's production@badasscounseling.com. Production@badasscounseling.com. And so you say, I can't retrieve the blocked trauma, old and new. Any ideas? Yeah, I'm going to ask you this question. If you were my client, I would ask you, what is it that might be inside of you in terms of blocked trauma or past shit that might be too painful to touch? What is the single most scary thing that you can imagine having to look at or feel? What is it in your past that you still avoid? Or, and this is one, I was just talking with a client today about this exact thing, and that is, let me ask you this, and this goes not only to you, but it goes to anyone. Let me ask you guys a question. Where are your triggers? What triggers you? You want to know something that triggers me? When people don't listen, when they interrupt. Triggers the fuck out of me. All right? But you know what the beauty of triggers are? The beauty of triggers is that triggers are a flashing neon sign with a siren go, woo, 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 and it's saying, start here. Do work here. This is where you need to fucking heal. Whatever you are being triggered by, that is your soul saying this right here, right now. This is exactly where there's X marks the spot. Dig here. So my question to you, when you say I've been journaling and counseling for decades, can't retrieve the blocked trauma, old and new, any ideas? Yeah. What triggers you? What pisses you off? What makes you sad? Because either you're going to tell me certain things that do, or you're going to tell me I don't have any feelings. Nothing triggers me. Nothing pisses me off. I have no feelings. And if you tell me you have no feelings, what you're fundamentally telling me is you have so many feelings that your body, your brain, your soul has gone into fucking shutdown. If you're numb, if you're lethargic, if you're just fucking don't care, apathetic, it's because you've got so much feeling inside of you that you are keeping it under lock and key because you can't bear the thought of touching it. So either you do have feelings, and then that's exactly where you begin your healing. And you go deeper. Why? Why is this bothering me? What's really going on? What might be under there that I'm afraid to touch? Either you do have feelings or you don't have feelings. In which case, if you don't have feelings, you at some point you got to have the courage to say, okay, what is it I'm fucking avoiding? All right. Rob, you look like you have one over there on YouTube. What's
you
the
are
question?
very perceptive, my friend. I'm going to combine two from Alex and Justin. Alex says, Sven, I recently got divorced after a 9-year relationship. I find myself pulled to try to resume dating, even though I know I need to be single and grieve and heal. Any advice for keeping my focus on that? And then Justin asks, hey, Sven, am I doing myself a disservice by getting into a one-night stand fresh out of a long-term relationship? Okay. See how they go together?
Yeah, they do and they don't. First one is Alex. Second one is Justin, right?
That's right.
All right. Listen, I mean, we're all adults here for the most part. Honestly, Justin, if you want a one-night stand, have a one-night stand, and assuming it's fully consensual with the other person, blah, blah, blah. And if that would feel good, sometimes just getting shitty, getting drunk with friends or at home, knowing you're not driving anywhere. Sometimes it feels good to just, as a one-off, sort of blow your brains out, metaphorically speaking, drinking. And that could maybe feel good, loosen you up a bit. But no, in the case of both, you need fucking time alone. What you really need to be doing so that you're not just coping with the situation, but actually healing. And by the way, folks, if you're still coping, you're not healed. If you're still coping, you're not healed, whatever your pain is. So in the case of both of y'all, you got to have some fucking time alone. And Alex asked the question, well, Sven, how do I fucking have the time alone when I feel drawn in to start dating? You're wanting to start dating because you want to avoid the pain. You're wanting to start dating as a fucking distraction. You're wanting to start dating because it feels so good when you have someone who's interested in you and is giving you love, is giving you attention. You likely got a divorce because one or all of those was missing. Time, attention, someone caring, someone thinking you're special, right? And so it would feel really good to have those. It would feel really good. But that you're just coping. You're just trying to shoo that pain away. I'm going to run away. I'm going to distract. I'm going to go on to the next thing. And this is how fucking narcissists are born, people. Why? Or what I call extreme takers. Because you're using the next person you're going to get into a relationship with to make you feel good. You're not fully present to the relationship. You're not fully healed and ready for a real relationship because you're avoiding your own past pain. You're using this person to get love poured into your fucking love cup because, gee, I so want it. What if you were to go about the business of clearing the crud out of your own love cup so that it's less about a need and less about running from your pain, and that you're actually present and ready for a fucking relationship? So the truth is, how do you fucking do that? How do you focus on being alone and not, jumping into a relationship? How do you do it? How? How do you do it? You basically fucking stop running. You say to yourself that I'm going to stop running. I'm going to stop being weak. I need to solve this shit, because the bottom line is, Alex, you're going to fuck up your next relationship. You're going to fuck it up. And you're going to fuck it up because you didn't have the brass balls to heal from your past relationship. So that means you're going to go through this whole fucking cycle again. And you're going to have, I believe you said you were married to a woman. You're going to have a woman, the next woman, who at some point is going to be fucking livid with you because your shit from your past, your unhealed shit, is going to bleed all over her. And it's going to suck the life out of the fucking relationship because you haven't done the work to heal. So what you're feeling right now, you're going to feel again if you don't have the balls to go into it. And I'm not saying it to be a dick. I'm begging you, Alex. Take the fucking time alone and fucking heal yourself. And Justin, you need to do the same thing. If you need a one-off, one-night stand, as long as it's consensual, fucking go for it, dude. Seriously. I mean, if that would feel good, fine. But if that's going to become your default, now you're just running. Now you're just being a coward. And I'm not saying that to be a dick. I'm saying, come on. Step up, do the fucking work, right? We always talk about, man, do the work. Have the balls. And well, it's never more true than emotional shit. So many men don't want to step up and do the fucking emotional shit. And that's why we have so many fucking dissatisfied women, because all these men are running from their shit. And the truth be told, there are a lot of women running from their shit too. So it's not just a gender thing. So fellas, do the work. Do the work, and you will be so much happier in the future. So it's short-term loss for long-term gain. We call that a good investment. But if you go for short-term gain, you're going to have long-term loss. I fucking guarantee it. As sure as I have a proboscis on the end of my face and the sun rises in the east.
Justin said, very insightful, really appreciate it. And Alex said, thank you.
You're welcome, fellas. Thanks for the good questions. All right, next question. Liking women's profile photos on Facebook when in a relationship, inappropriate? Is it appropriate to like women's profile photos on Facebook when you're in a relationship? Listen, every couple has its own parameters. Every couple has its own rules. Every couple has its own okie dokies and things they're not okie dokie about. All right. And for those of you who are not from the US, okie dokie, or Canada, okie dokie means A-okay. It's good. We're all good. So, but you're asking me, liking women's profile photos on Facebook when in a relationship, is it inappropriate? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. You're out there patrolling for who's pretty and you're liking it. And you want to know why they're liking it? Why would you like it? What do you stand to gain by liking it? One of the things, can I tell you a very quick little story? That his name, what was his name? His last name started with an A. He was the fire chief of our city, Fridley, Minnesota, when I was growing up. And he was the fire chief, and he'd go around to each of the elementary schools, and he'd do like fire demonstrations and how fire can travel and, sort of fire safety. And it was really cool. And he had little demos. Well, this guy, Chief Al, I want to say Alzado, but it's not Alzado. Anyway, he, afterwards, then he'd hand out handouts to each of us little kids, and we're little peckerheads. We're like, 5th grade, whatever. And I remember going up to him at the end and saying to him, Chief Alzado, I'm your paper boy, because I was. He was on my paper route. And he was right there, second door on the left on Plaza Curve. I remember going up and saying that. And he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And he's handing out his flyers. And I've often thought about, how embarrassing that was. And I remember that. I still remember it to this day. And it's been very instructive to me in my interactions with people and being a speaker and a writer and being in front of audiences and so forth. What I was wanting in that moment was him to give me a little bit of the spotlight, him to give me a little attention. Here's this important person up front. I want him to see me. That is why your husband is liking profile photos. He's hoping that the person will engage him. He's hoping that the woman, he's just putting out a little bit of bait out there. Otherwise, what possible reason would he like a woman's photo? Now, you need to assume he's going to deny the fuck out of this, and I guarantee he's going to. So you're asking for my fucking advice, and I hate getting into tactical shit like this. It hurts. So yes, in my opinion, yeah, it's fucking inappropriate as fuck unless you guys have some sort of agreement where just fucking doing whatever you want is okay. But I'm betting the mere fact that you're asking that says that he does not have the okie dokie to be doing this, and in all likelihood, probably knows it would hurt you, even though he's probably denying it and saying, no, it's fine, it's no big deal. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And so what I'm saying to you is, if you want the God's honest truth here, if you want to know what I would advise you to do, I would tell you this. Don't say a fucking thing. Pretend to let it go. And just watch. Compile evidence. I would honestly, if you're asking for the fucking truth, because you've clearly tried talking about it, you think it's inappropriate, I'm betting you've brought it up, and he's saying, no, it's nothing, but something in you doesn't feel good, I would compile evidence, and I would monitor the fuck out of his shit. Because he's fucking lying. No, there's no good reason for liking profile photos. If it's like old high school friends and it's his old group of buddies and he's liking, Susie put up, hey, Susie, you look fucking awesome. Good for you, man. You look great. And Tom, God, I love your profile photo. No, that's not what's going on. No, here is it. No. And so I would just sit back and compile evidence and do not pounce until you have so much evidence that it's incontrovertible. Do you want to know why? Because he's going to fucking weasel out of it. He's going to lie his fucking ass off to you. You wouldn't be engaging in that behavior unless you, in the act of doing something outside of the territory of the marriage, unless you are also prepared to lie about it after the fact. Compile the evidence and then hit hard later. If you want the fucking truth, that's what I would advise, because he's going to try to fucking weasel out of it. Rob?
You know how you can tell that you're in a Minnesotan's bedroom?
And just so everyone knows, I was born and raised in Minnesota, and I am, my roots are in Minnesota. How do you know you're in a Minnesotan's bedroom?
And you mentioned the fire chief back in Minnesota.
Right, yes, fire chief.
You can tell by the anonymous suggestion box on the wall.
That's right. And let's remain anonymous. I like that. That was good. Well played. All right. Next question. Hi, Sven and crew. Ex-husband alienates his daughter. Said he doesn't want her to visit when her brother does. There's no question there. Rob, what do you think the question is?
Why is he showing favoritism to one child over the other, and that strikes her as wrong and odd?
Good call, Rob. Let's run with that. And so you don't know what to do. Said he doesn't want her to visit when her brother does. Now, ex-husband alienates the daughter, pushes her away, presumably, and says, please don't fucking visit when your brother's here. In other words, I want time with your brother, and I don't want you to fucking ruin it, because just you being around me ruins it. My question to you is, so obviously, if your children are visiting, they're obviously of adult age, at least over the age of 18. My question to you is, and this is if you and I were actually counseling together, if we could have a back and forth, I would ask you what your role has been in all of this when he alienated her. What have you done or said? I'm not saying you caused it. I don't mean it like that. I just mean, what was your response? I would want to know. And I would want to know how you really feel about this. And I would want to know if you are standing up for what you really feel. I would want to know what you're really thinking, what you're really feeling, and if you've had the courage to act on it. And is, as you see it, your daughter in the wrong? Is your ex-husband in the wrong? He's your ex-husband, so that says you probably don't necessarily side with him, but your daughter's got to be wounded. You want the simple answer as a parent: tend to your daughter's feelings. She's probably hurting a great deal. Tend to her feelings. Just listen. Don't try to fix her. Just listen. Let her cry. Let her rage. Give her permission that it's okay to feel those feelings, and that, yes, he is hurting her. And the best you can do is just love him. Just keep loving her, bringing her the love. All right, next question. Oh, this is a good one. I like this one, you guys. This is from Naturally Natty. How do you handle a partner who keeps threatening to leave just to get you to get a rise out of you? How do you handle a partner who keeps threatening to leave just to get you to get a rise out of you? I think what she means to say is, who's doing it just to get a rise out of you? How do you handle that? Let me tell you something. I was in a relationship with a good person, and she was smart. And she said, because we were both, a couple of times we'd say, well, maybe I should just leave. We were younger and we said those things. And by younger, I mean like early 40s or something like that. And she said, you know what, Sven, we've both done it. We're both guilty. We can't do that. We can't keep playing that ultimatum card. Why? Because it inures us. It numbs us to it. And that can only be something that we use if it's real and it's serious and it's like actually potentially happening, versus I'm just angry. And so I'm going to throw out the meanest, hardest, ugliest card I can throw out there. So how do you handle a partner who keeps threatening to leave just to get a rise out of you? In all honesty, I would tell them to please stop doing that. Now, the mere fact that you're saying it here and they keep doing it says that you have asked them to stop. You have gotten mad. They like to see you, risen. They do it to get a rise out of you. They want to piss you off. This person wants to hurt you. You said it. They do it just to get a rise out of you. They want to fuck with you. They want to piss you off. You are in a relationship with someone who wants to piss you off, who wants to hurt you, who wants to see you scared. I was out in California this last week. I had business out there with my girlfriend in LA and then up in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. We also did a little time in Yosemite, and we were driving up into Yosemite, and you're going from 1,000 feet up to as high as 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 feet, maybe not 8,000, but 7,000 feet. And one of the things both my girlfriend and I do when we're at elevation driving is we go slowly. I am a nervous Nelly when it comes to heights. I really am. You want to know one of my grand fears? It's heights. Okay. And so we take it slowly and we take our time. I let people pass me, hairpin turns. I just take my time. All right. And part of it, the reason I do that is because I had experiences when I was a teenager. I remember someone very close to me driving up in the mountains when I was going to school in Colorado at the Air Force Academy and driving it really fast, knowing that I was scared. I had one of my brothers when I was young fucking with me when we go water skiing out on the lake, and he'd drive the boat and he'd drive over to where the weeds are, the tall weeds, and he had cut the engine so that if I'm the water skier, what happens? I just drop right into a bed of weeds, and I would be screaming bloody murder at him. I would be so mad. Why? Because they freaked me the fuck out, and I was scared, and I'm like fucking 7, and I'm water skiing, and now I'm surrounded by weeds, and he used to just get off on torturing me. Now, that's brother shit, right? Boys bond bloody, that's brother shit. But when your own spouse delights in seeing you scared, and you are scared because he's threatening to leave you, and that clearly scares you. When you're with someone who delights in seeing you scared, you are dealing with a fucking wretched person. And you've got to ask yourself, why the fuck am I staying with someone who delights in scaring me? And that's an ugly conversation. And I'm betting if you're afraid of him leaving, then you're afraid of leaving him just as well. You're afraid of being alone, and you need to begin to confront that, because clearly someone who delights in your pain is not someone you want to be with. All right. We will have much more to come right after this short break.
You've heard Sven talk a lot about his book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. And that's because Sven hears from his followers a lot about how much the book has helped them. If you're not sure how to handle the issues getting in the way of a better life, you're not alone. And you have a lot of choices. But thousands of readers will tell you that this is a great place to start, by yourself and at your own pace. So go to badasscounseling.com and order There's a Hole in My Love Cup, and you'll have Sven right there with you as you forge your best future. It's totally badass. So get started today.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform, and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
We are back with a lightning round of the Badass Counseling Show. I've got a question right here from Misty Mancini. Misty asks the question, Best piece of advice to a fellow therapist. Well, if you are a fellow therapist, I would want to know your advice for me. I don't have all the answers. I am constantly learning, and I've put up about 1,000 videos, my little 1 minute or 3 minute or 5 minute videos on TikTok and YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. And I put them up because I'm constantly getting new material, because I'm constantly learning so much from my clients. They'll say a phrase and it's like, oh, wow, that's a great fucking phrase. Or they'll ask a question, some nuance in their relationship or in their own relationship with self, or their stuff with their brother or whatever it might be. And it's like, wow, that's really good. And then I'll tangle with it myself and wrestle with it and what's really going on here and so on and so forth in my own time. And then I'll create a video out of it. So my point is we're constantly learning from our clients. And so my advice to a fellow therapist, best piece of advice that I could give to you is heal your own shit. You will never be more powerful as a therapist than if you've actually done the work on yourself. The only stuff that I write about in my books, There's a Hole in My Love Cup and Badass Wisdom, okay? These are my books. There's a Hole in My Love Cup. It has become an international bestseller. Everything in here, every recommendation, every journaling recommendation, every exercise, every single one of them is something that I have used on myself. I got myself out of a 12-year suicidal depression. It is stuff I have used on clients. Everything in this book I have tested, and it's true, and it works. And I know it because I had to heal myself. I didn't have a therapist who could help me. I had to figure out my own way. So my books are an accumulation of my own healing, plus so much that I've learned from clients. So you want to know, Misty? Heal yourself. What are your triggers? What are your pains? What are your greatest fears? Where does it come from? Who do you have the most animus towards in your life? All of this shit you need to be going into, because the more you heal yourself, the more powerful you'll become. And mostly, do you want to know what the power will be? It'll be the power of courage to ask those fucking hard questions. You know the ones I'm talking about. Anybody who's a therapist following me, and I have a lot of therapists, I have a lot of psychiatrists, I have psychologists, I have clergy, I have doctors that follow my show, that read my books, and they tell me all the fucking time, all right? And what I'm telling you, every single one of us has those moments in therapy where you have a question you really want to ask, but you're afraid to ask it. Because you want to be nice. You don't want to offend them. You're afraid that you might say the wrong thing, afraid they might take the wrong way. And we pull back from the question we most want to ask. And those questions are the most critical ones. I always tell my clients, it's like, I am here to go where my natural curiosity leads me. And I am constantly in a state of just trusting myself. I'm not even overthinking it. And I'll say, there are times, and you guys have heard me do it in counseling sessions and even here, where I'll say, listen, this may come off a bit harsh, but it's an honest question. And you can tell me to go fuck myself if you want to tell me to go fuck myself. I'm just asking an honest question. And then I can ask the most powerful questions, or maybe even what might be considered offensive, but because they know I'm coming in a spirit of love, in a spirit of kindness, genuinely wanting to understand. Most people want to open up. They want the fucking deeper questions. And true healing, when we can take someone deeper. But in order to take someone deeper, I, the therapist, have to have the courage to ask those deeper, harder, fucking ugly, scary ass questions that are just as scary for me to ask as they are for you to look at, you, the client, to look at. The more you heal yourself, the more courage you're going to have in asking those hard questions and just trusting your own natural curiosity rather than overthinking it. Good therapy doesn't come from up here. Good therapy comes from down here. What doesn't feel right? What feels a little off? Okay, that makes sense. That sort of stuff. All right, next question. Judy asked the question, is it a good idea? This is Judy over on Facebook. Is it a good idea to talk to your ex-narcissist to get closure? That's a good question, and I'm going to open it up to the peanut gallery. Anyone want to weigh in on that one? I'm going to answer it for you, Judy. I'm going to give you a straight answer, but you guys go ahead and weigh in and give Judy your answers on that. And Judy asked the question. The question, once again, is it a good idea to go back and clear things up with your ex-narcissist, for closure? To which Tammy says in capital letters, no, a whopping no. And I've got no don't from Bitta. I've got Pandora's Box from Peaceful. From Allie, it's definitely not. And I like this one. Love, Health, and Relationships over on TikTok says no. Why? You'll always be at fault. No closure. Ooh, that's good. That's juicy. Well played. Well played. You get a gold star on your fucking paper.
There's always a chance it might do some good. I mean, there's a chance your golden retriever will kill you. It's a very small chance, but you never know.
It does exist. In other words, so to play your question straight, and Gina says over here on Facebook, Gina says, it slipped away from me. Basically, bad idea. Sorry, Gina, it slipped away from me. I was going to read your answer. No contact is best. But here's the real deal. If you're wanting to get closure with that ex-narcissist, if that's the reason you're doing it, my question to you would be, if you and I were in counseling together, my question would be, come on, what is it you really want? Closure is this arbitrary word that we all think we need. And I'm not scolding you for wanting closure. We all have used that word at times. But what does that really mean? I would offer that you are wanting something from your ex-narcissist, whether it's confirmation of the pain they put you through or wanting them to tell you, gee, I really loved you and I'm sorry it's done. You're wanting something from them. And if we were to substitute closure for something else, because closure is such an arbitrary thing, what does it really even mean? Closure. And I'm not being a jerk. I mean, that's a word for me. It's just one of those words. It's like narcissist. Narcissist itself, it's so been zapped of its meaning. What does it even mean anymore? Closure, what does it mean? And so what I would ask you is, what is it you really want? If you were to put it in one sentence or less, what is it you really want in going back to your ex-narcissist? You're wanting something, and I would be willing to bet it's confirmation of your worth, or you're wanting them to admit the pain that you went through, whatever it is. But the thing is, you wouldn't even be considering going back for a conversation unless there was something you wanted. And I say this with kindness in my heart. Haven't you learned that your wants don't matter to your ex-narcissist? Have you still not learned that? By wanting something from them, by going back, you're wanting them, I'm betting, to validate you, to acknowledge the pain they caused you, and they're never going to do it. Why? Because they know they have power over you. They know you want them. You want something from them. And there's nothing more delightful. If you don't like someone and you want to hurt them, there's nothing more delightful than watching them beg while you sit back and say, no, I'm not going to give that to you. Fuck you. I'm not acknowledging anything. So you are walking into a motherfucking buzzsaw if you go back and try to get closure. What you're better off doing is going to your fucking journal and writing out a letter to the person you don't send, but even better, going into your journal and writing down in one sentence or less and play with different sentences till you really drill down. What is it you're really wanting from your ex-narcissist? What is it really, and why are you wanting it? And I'm willing to bet it's somewhere around the idea of acknowledging and apologizing for the pain you caused, or validating your feelings, your wants, what you went through. Rob, you have a thought or a question?
And that's not going to happen.
Exactly.
I do have a question here from YouTube from MAJP. How do you rebuild trust with your wayward spouse? She's doing individual work. We're in marriage counseling, but extending any kind of trust is difficult. It's been 6 months since finding out about her 4-month affair. We both read your book, we're journaling, etc. But how can she show that now she's trustworthy? How do I extend trust to build it back up?
My question is, why are you not in individual counseling? And I'm not asking to be a dick. I'm just asking an honest question. You said she's in individual counseling. You're in group couples counseling together, but you're not in individual counseling. And this goes to answer your question. And let me know if that answer comes up, Rob. But the bottom line is this, and this is where I'm different. I've never heard anyone say this before, and so I'm going to tell it to you. When it comes to cheating, when it comes to someone hurting you, where it comes to some situation where someone has breached the trust of the relationship or hurt you in a very large way, and now they're saying, hey, trust me, hey, let's get back together.
He's in individual counseling also.
Okay. If you're where you're in a situation where someone else says, hey, gee, I'm sorry, let's repair the trust, let's fix the relationship, all this stuff. And especially in the case of cheating, because that is a fucking radical destruction of trust. And trust is everything. It's bigger than love in a relationship. It's bigger than love. Trust. And so if that's been destroyed, what I always tell people, because I get asked this question all the time, how do you know if you can finally trust someone? And I say, you're asking the wrong fucking question. And because it's like, well, how do you know if they've healed? How do you know if they really mean it? How do you know if they really have changed? They keep swearing, I promise you I've changed, I'll never do it again. Well, how do I know, Sven? And what I always tell them, it doesn't fucking matter two shits if they have changed or not. If you haven't changed. Now, stay with me here. Don't think you know what I'm going to say. I'm not saying you caused them to do what they did. Not at all. Zip zero. No one is at fault for someone else cheating. The cheater's at fault. What I am saying is, if you haven't gotten the strength to hold them fucking accountable at every fucking turn, if you haven't healed yourself enough that you are constantly vigilant and standing up to them to get your fucking needs met, and knowing what your needs are and your feelings mattering and so forth, if you haven't healed yourself such that you are a person and you are standing up for you, then I guarantee with almost absolute certainty, this person is going to slide back into the same old shit. Why? Because there's no price. There's no price. This is why I tell people, you need, if you've been cheated on or someone's been abusive towards you or someone's taken advantage of you in your relationship, you need a year, regardless of what they need, you need a year to recover from all the pain, to flush out all of your fucking hurtful feelings, to flush out and really get in tune with all your fucking rage at her. And if you don't have rage, you're lying to yourself. All right. And the betrayal and all of that, you need time to heal you. It's not about whether or not they've changed yet. You're not even fucking ready for that question because you haven't fully changed yet. You haven't fully healed yet. And until you fully heal and do the work on you, you're not ready to make that big fucking decision yet because you're still so swollen, pregnant with all of your own fucking feelings. And I applaud you for doing the individual work. I mean that very sincerely. But fucking hell, there's so much there. And when I say the real work, I mean the real work of getting down, like the shit I do in my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, where I take you down to the origin sources of what's really going on inside of you. So if you and I were in counseling together, I would want to know where your pains come from, where your belief system comes from about your own self and all that shit, because that is the shit that's keeping you crippled. And all the pain, the mere fact that you're writing into me here, which is great, and I'm glad you did, is an indicator that you're not sure what to do and you're not sure how to think and what to act. And that's okay. You've been thrown a massive curveball 4 months ago in your life, destroyed everything you thought was real and right and true. You're not ready after 4 months. You're not ready to make that fucking decision. You're just not. And here's the problem though. My question would be, is she pushing you? Is she coercing you into, oh, come on, I'm fine. Gosh, I regret it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Of course she's fucking saying that. She wouldn't be saying that if you hadn't fucking caught her or sensed something was up and held her feet to the fire or whatever. Of course she's going to say, oh, I'll never do it again. No shit. What else is she going to say? You know what? There's a chance I might do it again in 12 months. Let me think. No, fuck. I've never heard of anyone saying that. Of course she's going to say. But you don't know if you can trust her. So what you got to do is fucking heal you so that you are much more sturdy in yourself and you are much stronger, but you've healed yourself of all that pain because that pain is killing you right now, brother, and you got to heal that shit. Rob?
He says he's doing a lot through your book and setting boundaries, flushing letters you don't send, etc. It's got to go deep.
Yeah, it's got to go deep and you got to persist. And because the real shit you got to get into, and I know this sounds like it's completely unrelated, but it is absolutely integral to the equation. That is the pain from your childhood and the bullshit beliefs you were taught to believe about yourself, because that's what's really driving the equation. Until you get down there and begin to see that shit, you can't even imagine how much it is driving the equation that you are in now in your marriage. As I talk about in my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. All problems inside of a marriage predate that relationship. Think about it. Pause. All problems within a marriage predate that relationship. You are playing out patterns that you are conditioned to believe about yourself. This is why I am not a psychologist. This is why I am a soul counselor, because I am a former clergyman. I am an absolute believer in the power of beliefs. And I'm not talking about God stuff. I'm talking about self stuff. Because what precedes the God question, if we all have free will, is who am I? And then, do I choose to believe in a God, et cetera, et cetera? The initial relationship is your relationship with yourself. And what have you been conditioned to believe about yourself? You don't matter. You're not lovable. You're not wantable. You are good. You're not good. You're not worthy of love. All those beliefs, whatever they may be, they are driving the motherfucking of your equation of your marriage more than you can begin to see. And that's why this motherfucking book takes you deep and kicks your ass so that you can have that clarity. All right, next question. How do you fulfill the masculine role when wife wants to be in the masculine and it ends up in a fight? There's so many questions here, and this is really a thing. This is a thing in our culture, in American culture right now. I can't speak to Canada, but we're pretty close, so maybe it's getting them too. But so many people are like, we this feminism shit has fucked up relationships because all of a sudden women have the power and men can't have it, and they won't let men have it. Won't let? What kind of man are you? Won't let? Let? Okay, that's not even the fucking issue. The issue is this. Are you being you? Because the simple fact of the matter is my entire business strategy, life strategy, work that I do of healing people, I named it badass counseling. Why? Because I'm into macho shit and badass means being macho. No. And anybody who's counseled me knows, oh, fuck, Sven's not about that. Okay, no. A true badass is someone who's just being whoever they are moment to moment. That means when I run into a friend at the grocery store and they say, yeah, and I say, oh, hey, James, how you doing, man? Good to see you. I'm doing all right, Sven. I got to be honest, my lab just died. Oh, fuck, James, I'm so sorry, man. I have 3 dogs. I am so sorry. What do you miss the most about your lab? And James starts crying. I stand there, and I'm feeling the tears well up in my own eyes. In that moment, as a guy, I'm a big guy, 6'4", 275. In autumn, in summer, I'm lighter. But the point is this. Being a badass means allowing myself to feel, encouraging myself to feel whatever it is I feel moment to moment. And then maybe I'm walking outside. After talking to James, I'm walking outside literally 5 minutes later after going through the checkout line, and there's an older woman there, and old woman, and I'm trying to, I'm looking out for her because she's crossing a lane of traffic to get to the actual parked cars, and some asshole just bolts right through the parking lot, and just like right in front of this old woman. And I'm sorry, in that moment, hey, you fucking asshole, slow down. You almost hit this lady. Don't be a dick. What I felt. Now, maybe that's not right, but fuck you. Fucking slow the fuck down. You got fucking pedestrians here. So in 1 minute, I'm feeling sad with James about his dog, and it's real. And in the next moment, I'm trying to defend this old lady because she's vulnerable. Being a badass isn't you aren't just masculine, and if you're a woman, you aren't just feminine. It isn't just this or just that. It's the fact that every one of us is both. I hear from women all the time, where do I meet a guy who's like integrated? One of the problems I run into for a lot of women who flat out admits, man, I don't like feelings. Feelings are uncomfortable for me. And people would say, oh, she's being masculine. No, she's afraid of the real feelings. And for guys conditioned to believe, boys don't cry and all that bullshit, right? Or maybe it was the other way and it was just over feelings, and you're afraid of your quote unquote masculine side. It's non-integrated people. What I'm saying is that every one of us is both. And that you are simply being yourself moment to moment. By the way, I was reminded of how much of this training there was growing up in the 60s, 70s. I heard the Melissa Manchester song, Rob, the other day on the radio. My girlfriend and I were in the car, and don't cry out loud, just keep it inside. Remember that one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, what a great fucking message. Don't cry out loud, just keep it inside. Learn how to hide your feelings. So yeah, I get all this shit. Okay, anyway, that was a brief fucking cul-de-sac. Bottom line is this. You're asking, how do you fulfill the masculine role when your wife wants to be in the masculine and ends up being in a fight? What I would recommend for you is that you heal yourself. So that for anything from moment to moment, you're being your authentic self. And the truth is, what masculine role can often mean is that someone is ramming their shit down my throat or someone's dominating me. And I've been that person. I was an extreme giver in a couple of relationships with very powerful women. And I didn't have my power yet. And it hurt. I'd get run over. I was actually physically abused too. All right. You can't fight back when you're a big guy. You can't fight back because you know who they're going to fucking blame, right? And so you got to ask yourself the question, have I fully healed? What do I need to do to heal more? And if I am making my needs and wants known to another person and they are not honoring them, Not that I need a person to be submissive. That's not it. Just honor my pain and don't hurt me. And yet someone is still choosing to hurt me. Then you really got to reassess. If they're not listening and not interested in being kind and decent and loving, it doesn't matter if you're male, female, non-binary, or, whatever, or that Labrador. We all just want love. And if I'm with someone who isn't loving me and I have the capability to leave, you might have to just do that, because that's not cool. It's not about masculine energy per se. It's just about, are we both being kind, or are we being dicks to each other, and are we hurting each other? And what is the ego need that's really going on here? And what is it I'm really afraid of? And what is it that she's really afraid of? And are we having these really real and hard conversations? Now, a bunch of people are saying, Sven, singing is not your forte. And just for the record, people, it's not forte. That root is not found in French. It's not forte. It's actually fort. It's Latin.
By the way, I would ask that listener, how do you define the masculine role anyway?
Well, right, and now we're getting to the theoretical level. But I think it's pretty obvious. They wouldn't put it out there. Justin wouldn't put it out there as shorthand unless he sort of knew what we all meant. Tough and strong and so on and so forth. But hell, you and I both know some tough, strong females, Rob.
Oh yeah.
But the truth is, in the case of my girlfriend, she's soft and furry on the outside. She's the sweetest person I know. But I mean, she grew up in the Bronx in the 60s and 70s. She's tough as nails. She just doesn't have to be. She doesn't feel the need to exert it. And very often, if people, male or female or non-binary, if people are being all tough and macho, and be they whatever gender they may be, male, female, whatever, they're doing it because they're protecting fear inside. If you're putting on a tough shell, it's because you're a motherfucking Cadbury egg. You're goo on the inside. And you're putting on that tough shell. So people asserting strong, what we might call masculine energy, are people living in fear. But it can go the opposite way. Some people living in total meekness and sweetness and kindness are living in fear as well. They're in fear of integrating their strength, their anger, their pain, and our authentic self is both yin and yang, masculine and feminine. All right.
Billy Joel learned that a man is not just being macho.
Oh, yes. I know that song. But I've been told not to sing tonight. All right. I'm going to take like 2 more questions, guys.
I got a good one here.
Give it to me, Rob.
Emily on YouTube says, I've just come to the realization that I'm bisexual. I'm a woman in a heterosexual relationship and want to share this information with my partner, but I am afraid. What are your thoughts?
Read it back to me one more time, please.
Yes. I've just come to the realization that I'm bisexual. I'm a woman in a heterosexual relationship and want to share this information with my partner, but I am afraid. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, of course you're afraid. Of course you're afraid. Anytime we are sharing an authentic part of our real self with someone, with anyone, especially those closest to us, there's always the fear that they will reject us, that they will be hurt, that they will not like us, they will not want us, they will push us away. Anytime we are revealing our authentic self, which is why, for instance, the life of the artist, the lives of the creatives, the singers, the dancers, the writers, the poets, the sculptors, anybody engaged in creative work, the researchers anybody engaged in creative work. It's a scary life. Why? Because what you're doing is you're taking your authentic, the song of your soul, the insights of your own self, and you're putting it out there, and it's scary. See, we put on personae in life. We put on fake selves, a mask. Why? Because if I'm going to be rejected, it's easier to be rejected for a fake version of myself. I mean, nobody wants to be rejected, but if I got to be rejected for something, I would much rather be rejected for a fake version of myself than to put my real self out there and then be rejected for that. That's scary, right? And so, you're terrified to tell your heterosexual partner that you are in fact bisexual. Of course you are. Because, let's be very, very honest. Then bear with me here. I'm saying this loosely. It goes against the contract. You guys had a contract. We are in a heterosexual relationship. And now you have come up with new information that is true, and it is your truth. And so you are introducing a new element into the relationship, and it is going to be startling to this person. It's going to be shocking. They won't know how to respond. And you're scared. And your being scared is totally understandable for so many reasons. What I would recommend is be kind. You've got your feelings. What you need to do before you even raise it with them is you need to be flushing out all of your feelings. You need to be journaling your ass off. Write the person a letter or two of all the things you want to say. It's not saying you will say them, but flush it all out. You need to get all of your feelings out, not all of them, but a fuck ton of your feelings and fears and anxieties and trepidation and anger and sadness and everything that you feel out of you, so that when you drop this bomb, and it's going to be a bomb, you're more able to be present to their feelings. Because you're changing the equation. By bringing out your authentic self, you are changing the equation of this relationship. And I'm not saying you're changing it for the worse, or changing it for the better, or changing it for, I'm not offering any value judgment on it, but you're definitely going to change it. And you need to be able to be present to them, because if it's just about you saying it and wanting validation, that's a big fucking ask when you just told them that basically they're not enough for you. And that's how they're going to interpret it. If a lover came to me and said that in the middle of a relationship, one of the feelings I would feel is, I'm not enough for you. Because our own inadequacies always reach into every equation, you guys. And that's a legitimate fear. But you may feel offense. Well, why aren't you validating me? Well, because they get their feelings too. And you guys, this is really important. This is really important. You've reached master level in any relationship when me having my feelings does not invalidate your feelings. Where we are both able to have feelings at the same time. But very often what happens in relationships is we think, well, if I have feelings, my feelings are more important than your feelings. Or if I have feelings, you don't get to have feelings. This is about my feelings. Or you know what? It's all about your feelings. You have a feeling? Okay, let's make it about your feelings. Right? The extreme giver. The extreme taker says, no, it's about me. I have a feeling. But a real master level relationship where two people have really done their shit is where we can honor each other's feelings in any given moment. Now that's some real shit. Now you got a real relationship, because what I'm saying is my feelings matter and I'm going to stand up for my feelings. Your feelings matter and I'm going to stand up for your feelings. And you're going to do vice versa. Where both of our feelings fucking matter. Because very often, at least in the past, 60s, 70s, growing up, those eras, men didn't have feelings, so it was easy. And women could have all the fucking feelings. Well, now we're trying to change that world and honor how men feel. Well, that's a tricky fucking one, isn't it? Because it means a man, he can't get fucking all butthurt because his feelings don't run the day. Hey, I'm sharing my feelings. Why isn't the world shutting down because I'm sharing my feelings? But on the other hand, a woman can't say, oh, I'll listen to your feelings for about 5 minutes, but let's go back to the way it used to be where it's all about my feelings. Okay, so what we're working towards is where person's feelings matter at the same time, and that we can honor each other's feelings. So my recommendation to you would be flesh out as much to your feelings and emotions as possible so that you're able to be present to them in that moment. And they'll have a responsibility later to be understanding of you. But in that moment, it's just going to be shock. It's just like when you find out that your favorite uncle died, or, that whatever happened, that big news, you were in shock. That's what it's going to be with your lover. I'm going to take one more question.
Here's a question from Emily on YouTube. I'm at the beginning of my journey with healing from trauma, but I was recently put in a position to provide foster care to my niece who is trying now to heal from her trauma. Our trauma responses clash. I just don't know if I'm the right person to do this.
And so the question is, what do I do? Right? That would seem logical. It's exactly what I was just telling on the last question. You begin by getting all your fucking feelings out. Write your foster daughter as many letters as you can that you do not send, you do not give to her, you do not hit the return button, just to flush out your own shit. If you're not in therapy, get in therapy with a good therapist. If you can't afford it, whatever, just get your fucking journal out and start journaling about everything that's going on inside of you. Because as I was just saying, it's when we become inflamed and engorged, pregnant with all our feelings, that's when we make our worst decisions in life. That's when we become everything. We're just reacting. We're reacting because everything is triggering me. And when we're in tight proximity with someone where it feels like they trigger me, it's very easy to say, well, I need to get out of that relationship. And if you need to get out of it, get out of it. Do what you got to do. But when someone's triggering me, the trigger itself isn't the problem. It's that something inside of me is being triggered. You guys have heard me say it before. It's like everything inside of me that is being triggered. right? It makes me anxious, makes me angry, makes me sad, whatever. It's like a stick of dynamite. And it's all of my past memories that have emotional charges attached to them. Every one of those is a stick of dynamite. So now I can walk through life avoiding anything that looks like a match or a lighter, or I can actually do the work of going inside and removing the sticks of dynamite. Because if I don't remove the sticks of dynamite, I'm still just a ticking time bomb. I'm a walking explosion just waiting to happen. So what I would recommend you is you do the work healing you. And if you want to get that stepdaughter, the person you've been entrusted with, foster child, into therapy, I'd recommend that too, because they need a way of getting their pain out, because children just want to be heard. They just want love. They just want attention. They want somebody to give a shit enough, to care, to look after them, to go the extra mile for them. And if you feel like you got it, get that child some help. You can't be that to that person at this point. You need to be that for you, and you need to do the work of healing you and get that child to someone who can help heal them and show that you fucking give a fuck if you want. But here's the other side of it. If you just don't have it, if you're dead, if you're wiped out, and you just don't have it in you, then take the deliberate, necessary steps to provide a soft landing or a new avenue for someone who will love this child, because they just want to be loved. I've got the last question here. Pam says, can any, and any is capitalized, can any narcissist be fixed? It's a question I get all the time, and it's a legit question. Obviously, Pam is someone in a relationship with a narcissist, okay? Or what I call an extreme taker. You're asking a theoretical question. Can any narcissist be fixed? But what you're really asking is, do I have hope? Do I have reason to hope that the narcissist in my life is going to change? Or am I just barking up the wrong tree? Is it never going to happen? And you wouldn't be asking that question unless you hoped that the person would change. You have some good memories. Maybe they throw you the occasional bone and you wish it could be more like that. If they would just change, then they'll meet my needs. I need them to change. That's funny. I just recorded a new video on this. It's in the queue for me to put up tomorrow or the next day on this exact topic. Are you waiting for someone in your life to change? Are you trying to give, or push them to change, get to heal their shit? So maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a lover, so that then they'll finally meet my needs. This is why children, most unaware, are trying to help their parent. And maybe it's an adult parent. Maybe the child is now 48 and mom is, 83. And they're still trying to get mom to, fix her shit and whatever, because then if she does, then finally she'll meet my needs. Then finally she'll acknowledge the pain she's done to me. Then finally she'll accept me for who I am. If you're ever trying to change someone, it's because you're still wanting something from them. So in this case, Pam, you're asking, can any narcissist be fixed? The answer is yes. And I know that because I have been engaged in that work. I've done it before. We've actually had success on this very show, March 23rd of 2023. You want to go back and listen to a trippy episode? Go listen to that one. We had a recovering narcissist on the show, and we had someone who had just come out of a relationship with a narcissist. These two people didn't know each other, and it was a powerful episode. March 23rd, 2023 on Spotify, Audible. It's the Badass Counseling Show. But to answer your question, can a narcissist be fixed? Yes, but they won't unless they're motivated. What motivates a narcissist to change? Pain. Most specifically, the pain of loss. When their loss from being this way gets so great that they have lost something that they didn't want to lose, they will change. But if the loss isn't great enough, they won't change. There's no incentive to change. Why would I change? I'm not losing anything here. And the hardest part about it is losing you may not be the thing that drives them to change. You may not be the one. It may be the next person they fall in love with, or it may be getting to be 35 years old. Their kids get to be 35 years old and their kids want nothing to do with them, and their kids aren't letting them anywhere near their grandkids, or they aren't letting you, the parent, anywhere near the grandkids. And the narcissist finally realized, well, fuck, what's wrong with my kid? And the kid's like, fuck you, old man. You had a shot. You had 1,000,000 shots. It was always about you. Well, now it's not about you anymore. And sometimes if anything is going to change or break a narcissist, it's pain. And if the pain is not bad enough, they will not change, because pain is what motivates change. All right. Rob, any final thoughts or questions?
And my wife says to me, it's impossible to take you seriously, Rob, when you sing. I'm not saying that applies to you, but it just came to mind.
Yep. You know what, guys, though? I was actually a good singer. I was in choirs, church choir, school choir. I was in concert choir in high school. I was in theater, in singing roles and so on and so forth. But, years of cigars, few years of cigarettes, and all the shit. And the voice goes, and plus, whatever. I don't know.
I was a soloist in junior high school chorus when I was an alto tenor.
Alto tenor.
Tenor, very high voice.
Yes.
And when my voice changed, I developed a 3-note range, and that was it. And that was the end of my singing.
Well, and to that point, speaking of, in eighth grade, Donna Smith and I, with David Ryder on piano, who was playing the flute? Jody Dorcas, maybe? Anyway, Donna Smith and I sang Endless Love, and we won the talent show competition in eighth grade. And then again, my senior year, I was in a group called Sergeant Sven and Friends, and we sang a Frank Zappa song, We Got to Stick Together, and we won the fucking variety show, and I was the singer. So, all you people who say I can't sing, you're right, I can't sing anymore. But back then, oh boy, glory days. Any final thoughts, Rob?
That was it.
That was it. So, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Lightning Round. You can catch all Lightning Rounds and counseling episodes on the Badass Counseling Show on Spotify, Podcast, Audible, etc. Have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by 2-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.